Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear now. Hi, how are you?
Outstanding. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Good.
What did you have for breakfast this morning? I'm curious.
Oh my goodness. Coffee.
Coffee?
I had Zooms this morning at 9 and again at 10:30 right before you. So I grabbed coffee and came right in, but I promised to make it up in lunch.
Okay. Well, I hope I'm not cutting into your lunch hour, being the noon hour here. Um,
No.
since you did mention that you drink coffee, what's your order, if so people know for the future?
It's just a regular coffee. My favorite, to be honest, is McDonald's got some really good coffee, right? So I know
Okay, good
I
deal.
don't eat McDonald's as much, but I do drink, I patronize their coffee. Um, so yeah, I'm just a regular or Colombian coffee. I do like flavored creamer, things like that.
Okay. Well, I saw recently too that McDonald's is gonna have the Krispy Kreme donut, which that might be having me roll through there a couple times. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, not make one stop instead of two with that. But welcome to the program. Thank you for being here. Are you originally from Indianapolis?
I am
Okay,
born, homegrown, and raised
great.
in Indianapolis. Started out 25th and Brightwood area to 39th and Broadway to,
Okay,
I raised all my kids on the south side in the Beach Grove area. So
wonderful.
that roundabout.
Well, I'm from Carmel on the north side,
Okay.
and grew up here. Um, what high school did you go to?
I actually went to Southport and Franklin Central.
Okay,
Um,
great.
Mind you, I was a teenage parent, so that was not your traditional walk. But I did attend Southport and Franklin Central were my high schools.
Okay. Well, clearly you had your hands full at a young age, but were you involved in any activities in high school that you can recall?
Um, I actually was quite the athlete, to be honest. And I did the untraditional stuff, like I like theater and that type of creative writing spaces. But yeah, up until like, my parenthood, I was quite the athlete. I was active in volleyball, track. I was actually cross country, which has played to my advantage. Actually, my cardio is pretty good for
Okay, that's good.
still for the mature woman that I now am. So yeah,
Um,
athletics were like my go to, but I did like theater, things like that.
Running track. What were your events?
So I was like the 50-yard dash. I did do long distance, so I was cross country as well. So
Good deal.
yeah. So I was like all around. I could do short or long distance as far as
Okay,
track and fields were concerned. But you're 50, 100-yard dash. And then I did like
good
cross
deal.
country. So yeah.
Um, well, having cerebral palsy and being my height and weight, athletics were not my my go-to. But I called sports at Carmel, and so I knew a lot of athletes growing up. But now, you are a philanthropist, activist, and the CEO of Redemption Outreach Services Incorporated. And we're gonna talk. We're gonna get into the work that you do.
Right.
But one of the reasons I love having you on the show, I've had plenty of UIndy alums on the program. What made the University of Indianapolis the right choice for you?
It was adult education and near my house.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna
So it
say you're
was
right there. So
it wasn't anything, that I researched heavily. I actually went back to school reluctantly after being coerced by a career student cousin of mine that thought I had been in business for on the for-profit side for about 7 or 8 years at that time, and he
Hmm.
thought that would be great. So I just looked into what was near me and had adult ed,
Okay.
which where those two boxes were checked off, and off I went.
What is your favorite bar or restaurant around Indianapolis, being a native here?
Good question. Um, my favorite restaurant. Um, I'm such a seafood person, so I love steak. So wherever there's good seafood, I like juicy crab. I like um Harriet Izzy's.
Hmm.
I don't really have a favorite as long as the food is good. And I like a broad range of food. So I love Mexican. So, I mean, anything,
Yeah.
anywhere
Yeah.
there's,
To,
Luciana's is a favorite of mine. Like, I
sure.
just like cozy and comfortable space. You know what I mean? So,
Well,
and it depends on who's footing the bill too. I mean, it's
right. Yeah.
high, low. Doesn't matter as long as the food is good.
Well, I laugh
Favorite? You
because
asked for a favorite bar as well.
sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm. Um, like I said, I don't really have a favorite. Usually, it's just wherever the vibe is right. Like I'll go to Javito's. I go to Georgia Street. I go where live music is normally. That's a favorite for me. So
Okay.
they have hookah. That's always a plus.
I have yet to be to a hookah bar at this
Oh,
point in my life. Yeah.
oh.
What do you have any suggestions or advice for folks that are thinking about going to a hookah bar?
Um, well, it is nicotine. I'm just gonna say that, and I don't like go all the time, but it is a relaxing agent. So it's really good if you're trying to catch a kind of chill vibe.
Okay.
You can get like different flavors if you're into that, but it wouldn't be something that I would do all the time, but I do enjoy it when I do it. So,
Post COVID too, I'm still like apprehensive about that sort of thing. I don't know, the cleanliness of it all would be a concern
oh
of mine.
yeah,
But um,
yeah.
did you ever go into Ike and Jonesy's? Were you able to go there?
Did not. I heard good things about it though.
Okay. Well, the reason why I bring it up, my dad was a musician, and he was part of the house band there for about 12 years. Ricky and
Oh,
the
cool.
Rowdies was essentially Chooch and the Enchanters plus Ricky Eichels who owned the place. So,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah.
since you like live music, I wanted to mention Dad being downtown on a Tuesday and Wednesday night normally back in the day.
Okay.
So
What instrument did he play?
So he was the band leader.
Okay.
Typically he was the lead singer, as well as he would play harmonica and guitar too. And
Very, very good.
that's actually how my parents met. I've told this story before, but the Black Crowes, Hard to Handle. Dad
Oh,
was playing that, and there's a line in there where he says, "Take my hand, I'll prove every word I say." Extended his hand to Mom, and it was a done deal. So, uh,
okay.
I can Jonesy holds a special place in my heart for years.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm intrigued by both band names. That's always the thing. Like, what a band name is like,
yeah,
oh, interesting. Let's go rock out with them. The Black Crows or the
yeah.
Two Foots or whatever. I'm always like, how'd you come up with your band name or whatever? But that's pretty cool.
Oh, I loved it. I didn't realize how big of a deal my dad was until he passed away a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
And really cool to grow up in a musical household. What we'll get into that too before we get into your work as a philanthropist and activist. Um, what kind of music did you listen to growing up?
Oh my goodness. I had to listen to your, R&B, of course. My mother, she loved music. So it was a broad range. It was gospel, it was R&B. I definitely bred and raised in your, hip hop culture. I think I'm very, very seasoned enough to see that whole thing to kind of, you know, hit the
Right.
scene and then how it's done grown. So I have a broad range. I raised up on pop music, of course, going to Southport, Franklin, the culture was mixed there. So you get
Sure.
a wide variety of, music choices when it comes to pop culture as well. So
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty seasoned on the music spectrum.
Well, I wore Silk Sonic for you,
Okay.
which I think is present day plus old school. You know, it's a more modern old school flair. And
Okay.
if I went through like Apple Music, Spotify, whatever your music is, what are some artists that I would find on the playlist?
Oh my goodness. Of late, I've been listening to a lot of Southern soul blues. I don't know if you're familiar with that genre. We're talking about the Calvin Richardsons, the King Georges. I just went to the Blues is All Right tour concert last weekend. So a lot
Cool.
of the Southern soul stuff because it's just got that pop off and then it's still kind of you can still kind of groove to it.
Right.
I have some old school hip hop, of course. That just gets me
Okay.
pumped sometimes, get me in a mental space to where I can like um accomplish anything when I'm like let me turn on me against the world real quick and get myself uh in a good space to get out here and make something happen. But a lot of R&B artists, like I said, I'm listening to a lot of soul blues right now, so
Okay.
it just
Um,
depends. I like gospel music a lot too, so
okay.
um I just saw Lettucey as well, so I've been listening to a lot of her old stuff this last week, just because the concert. She's got 11 albums for God's sakes. I think
Uh,
she probably sung 20 songs. Like it was like throwback to her new stuff. So I've been on Lettucey this week as well. So
cool.
she has been on the front of the playlist here in the last week.
Well, you can call me an old man if you want to, but one of my dad's favorite bands, Tower of Power,
Oh,
was my most recent live concert at the Palladium. And
mm,
since you mentioned soul, I mean, Tower of Power is always in the rotation quickly. So, and Prince, Stevie Wonder, Stevie Ray Vaughan, being a blues guy, that's always those are my go tos. So
I mean, Prince is like
he's otherworldly. He's like his own category. Yeah. So
I I mean, he probably have 40 albums. Like I think I was looking into his catalog. It is crazy. And then to play all the instruments and to be a
mhm,
composer, it just
yeah. Well, and he was on
yeah, he
yeah, he was on Arsenio Hall shortly before he passed,
yeah.
and he had asked him like, you got new stuff coming out, don't you? And Prince is like, you're gonna look different by the time my vault is cleared out, So I mean, there's plenty of material still to come from him, which is crazy because there's so many
I
archives.
heard I heard that his estate, he's got thousands of unproduced raw music and
Yeah.
they did nothing with it so far, but
Let's see.
I don't think that they even know what to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just that off the Richter scale when it comes to musical geniuses. So yeah, I totally agree.
Well, and
Prince is a good choice.
yeah, he's certainly one of my goats. That's in the rotation frequently, and something that he advocated for in his music is for civil rights and different things that you're advocating for through. Again, you're the CEO of Redemption Outreach Services Incorporated, and how did you become involved with this organization?
This is crazy. You're talking to the founding member. This was a class project. So that came out of U of I. So they had a modern civil rights class that I took. And the professor, his family was rooted in the civil rights era. I mean, he did some live remotes where we got to talk to, one of Martin Luther King's family members. And um, he was just such a uh, seasoned person when it came to the civil rights movement, and so we had this class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. Let's see what that's about. So the goal, I guess the goal of the class was to pick a societal issue, which he gave us a list of, and some of them are very much the same. We still have women's right issues. We still have, urban equality issues, but some of them were very new and different at the time. So we're talking, veterans' rights. We're talking immigrant rights. We're talking seniors. He had all of these things. So we
Mm-hmm.
were to pick one and come up with solutions for, barriers and things that were causing, whatever their civil rights issues would proclaim to be, or what we deciphered it to be, and then offer a solution for it. So, me being an Aquarian and kind of quirky, offbeat thinker, I didn't pick anything from the list. So, at the time, I couldn't think of any demographic that was more ostracized than the felon reentry population. So
Mm-hmm.
at this is way before now. Like this was when like them finding a job and just your normal being able to meet your normal necessities and things like that were like
Mm-hmm.
an extreme barrier. Like we did a lot of work in the space, um, going leading up to it now. But then it was like so terrible. So I picked the felon reentry population, and that transcended into our first time felon reentry program, um, which, first time felons are usually youth based. So primarily, I saw a lot of kids. I was younger then, and just growing up, you see like these 18-year-olds, and I use my brother at the time, Lord rest his soul, as the prototype because he got his first. Now, he was, mind you, the best person, the most giving, the most caring person you would ever meet as a Sagittarian. And he was with a group of older guys and did some things and end up getting his first charge at 18. So when he got out at 21,
Right.
we were trying to get him jobs. We were trying to do things, and he was just like, he would get a job and his background would come back 2 or 3 years later, and I mean 2 or 3 weeks later, and they would let him go. So it was just something that I knew a little bit about, not from being a felon personally, but what you find is if you
Right.
have someone in that population, it affects your whole nucleus. It affects, who's going to parent your kids while you're away, who's going to take care of you while you're in there, who's going to, if you have a house and things like that, who's going to, take the responsibility of making sure that you're able to come back the same way you left. And that's just like wasn't normal at the time. So I picked the felon reentry population, and everything on the organization sits crime prevention, intervention, or reentry. So the intervention aspect is our youth program. I work with the juvenile detention center. I'm over there on Thursdays with the girls there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been doing that for like 8 or 9 years. And then I work with the foster care aging out demographic, which is about 60% projected to offend. They go from being in one system to the other, just primarily out of lack of an inability to self-sustain themselves after exiting the system. So a lot of the work we do is in that space. So that's kind of how it started, just a class project.
Yeah.
And some of it, I sat there and created a $9 million organization. And so, I mean,
Wow.
budget and all. So the professor was like, I know you looked at this like it's a class, but I've worked in this space for a long time and I think you should do something with it. So when you got somebody that has all the letters behind their names and they tell you something like that, if you're halfway, a decent, smart person to use your common sense, you'll take that for the validity that it holds. And I went on to start the agency after that, and I've been in social services and in the nonprofit realm for about 10 years now.
Did it take a lot of time to set it up? I mean, there's steps involved in creating a nonprofit and that sort of thing.
So, my cousin that I spoke about, initially, the career student, he did a lot of our legal work. You do have to do your research. I mean, um, I was genuinely a caring person, but you don't want to step in this realm if you're thinking it's going to make you rich or, things like that right away. It just pays in passion initially, just like any other business. People think it's different, but it functions the same way a for-profit business would function. It's just got causes and different services and programs attached, but um you do have to prove yourself to funders like you would a bank that you would want to invest in you. So
Right.
being tight and just having your cause and having a clear vision on the population you want to impact and how you want to impact it. So you definitely can't half step it if you want to have longevity in this business. So I bet I worked with it a couple of years before and just getting into space, going to Hope Team meetings, and just where this population of service providers congregate, just to see what moves around. And then, I kind of test piloted some theories out of John Hopkins because they were like, just light years ahead, when it came to,
Right.
social services and having a curriculum uh, around it. So, yeah, it took me a couple of years or so. And it really just depends on like community support and people that believe in your causes or whatever that will rally alongside you to kind of develop it, your board and stuff like that, which I don't have. I don't want anybody to think you have to have 10 to 12 people on a board to govern it. That's just not the case. I actually have four functioning people on my board besides myself. So a very small, but mighty board. But yeah, you do have to know your stuff and just research because this population is very cliquish. It's very what's another word for it? Private.
Yeah.
So they can smell you a mile away if you're just there to get, you know, information or know where the funding is and not going to reciprocate on one hand or another. You'll just be like they
Well,
we're dead, and I'm like probably not as rough as what I received coming into the space, but I'm a little more given with information and stuff. But yeah, you
well, that
you do
that
have to do your research.
that was going
Yeah.
to be one of my questions because with the it seems like you're covering a wide range of services, which is great, and I'm glad that you're making that available to people. But is there a lot of collaboration between different organizations with the work that you do? I didn't know how collaborative it was, or if it's we're going to deal with what we deal with, and you handle what you handle.
So I made a point to run it like a hospital. You know what I mean? Every hospital's got one major core principle, and that's to get you well. And it's not all done by one type of physician. So yeah, the collaborative piece, I've worked a long time establishing the core of principles involved with my collective. Like Independence Job Corps, I've probably been working with them for 8 or 9 years out of the 10. I've been over at the juvenile center for a long time, 8 years or so over there. So yeah, the partnerships. It's like once you get a functioning model,
Uh-huh.
um you don't like to take things, well, I don't, because you're actually needing to replace things. The goal is to add to it. So I'm a part of a couple of major coalitions like the Marion County Reentry Coalition. That's everybody from the probation office to the Department of Correction and all the heavy hitters in the city. The Justice Campus have representatives there, Eskenazi. All of the major entities come together in these coalitions, and we look for program models and just ways that you can collaborate to make your work one easier if you're using these collectives and different agencies, and then at the same time more effective as well, because you just can't fix everything, right?
Right.
I don't do mental health. I don't, a lot of those things, are pretty tough. So you have people like Aspire and,
Right.
that have that mental health. That's what they do. That's what they specialize in. So why do I need to reinvent the wheel when I just need to make sure I have access to those types of services when there's a gap? So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're not willing to collaborate, you'll just be a standalone island, and they know you're not effective in this space. Not just, not just being a one note. So
Well, and I went through ROSI's website, and there's a few different programs that are listed on there, and we can delve deeper into it, including the um, first time felon reintegration. There's also neighborhood empowerment training and rescue, and then the Indiana Safe House, which we can talk about. But first, with the first time felon reintegration. Forgive me for using this reference, but I thought of Shawshank Redemption and like Morgan Freeman and his meaning of rehabilitated.
wow.
I don't know what that means. Like I feel like it would be an adjustment to go from prison to normal life again. And I'm just wondering what are the biggest issues that you have to deal with normally.
So self-sufficient. We sit on a self-sufficiency program model. So like I said, just living. Um, everyone. I mean, it wasn't until it dawned on me that the judicial system only devours those who don't have economic power and stamina. Because if you look at it, um, let's say Martha Stewart is a felon, right?
Exactly.
She went
Yeah.
in, she did her time. You didn't miss any of her products at Walmart. Her shows were still syndicatedly playing. She was didn't miss a beat. She got out back to being Martha, right? That isn't the case um, with a lot of people. Um, so the it's just the normal things. They have to totally regroup. Like I said, you don't have people that are able to pay your rent until you get out. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
have a lot of those things. So these people are starting from ground zero, like needing to get an ID, you know what I mean? And don't have access to their birth certificate and
Mm.
vital records to get that done efficiently, which then, hold them up from being able to apply for a job because they don't have their ID. And then,
Right.
but what I did see is all the things that worked well. That is what I was keen to. What I knew was, I knew quite a few felons who got out and went into real estate. As long as you have, you know, the banks don't care if you have a felony. As long as you have good credit, your work history is there,
Mm-hmm.
you can get a loan, right? So, real estate and these high paying things like, getting your CDLs and being a truck driver, making this, massive amount of money, it was like the key. So you're looking at a barrier when you can't find a landlord to give you housing,
Mm.
but if you work and get your credit up, you're able to buy a house as a felon. So my principles were to focus on the things that worked well with the population. So those were apprenticeships, employment training, personal development, because you're taking people that was used to making $500,000 a day, and you want them to enter a job market and with the mentality and want to make, you know, $10 an hour. I mean, that's a big adjustment even from a mentality standpoint. So a lot of that is reprogramming, what's important and those things. So those are like not your traditional barriers, but yet still barriers. So we work a lot with personal development, career path development. Um, and like I said, first time felons, I mean, they're usually younger and more influential and easy to guide. I don't want it to seem like I tried to do the easiest thing, but I wanted to do what I knew I could work well with. And so, youth offenders, I've had like an extreme amount of success with getting them turned around, if you will, because it's one of those things to where if you're conditioned to going back and forth to jail, at some point it's like it doesn't even hurt you to tap your shoulder, tap smack your hand. It's like, okay, um, you're gonna smack my hand and I'm gonna do my time and get out. But is that really gonna um make this person more viable to all of us as a society? And that's where my focus is.
Um, do any success stories stand out to you?
I have an at-risk youth program that I did for a while, and it was dealing with what we call opportunity youth, which are kids who are out of school. They hadn't been engaged in school in a while, or they're expelled from school. So this was a program that was offering a paid internship to train them in a certain space.
Mm-hmm.
So the certifications that I've offered for a long time. So I've seen a opportunity youth come through our program, come back through our doors a couple of times for different reasons, job placement, different things. He's now a full-fledged entrepreneur. He owns a clothing line. Shout out to Black Label clothing line. So I've seen this happen. All they need is like to see transparency in a person and sincerity in a person. And I see this time and time again. So um yeah, that's just one of the ones that stick out to me. But I've been in the business long enough to see them get out and do secondary education and go to college. So those stories I probably can tell you 50 to 100 times
Hmm.
over. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty happy about the success that we've had with that first time felon program.
And would folks just register on your website? I mean, how can they begin the
You
process if they need some help?
you can you can call to schedule a case management. We do a needs assessment, and what's uniquely different, I guess, is you go to some agencies, they have A, B, and C. You either want A, B, or C, and that's just it. But we do kind of build a success plan. And like you said, it's a collaboration of the partnerships that, I've acquired, different things that they may want to get involved with, getting their GED and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the individual success plan kind of generates from the needs assessment. So it starts with that. So you want to call or go to the website, and it would prompt a email to us that you're interested in enrolling in the program.
Okay. Is there a specific type of person that you're looking for? I mean, I'm going to be 30, and as someone with a disability, I mean, it's a full time job when you're looking for a job with everything you need to know. I didn't know if there were any kind of restrictions with the kind of folks you're looking for.
Absolutely not. Even though, our focal point is reentry and at-risk community, that's not all I deal with. I deal with people who want to move from one level in the workspace to another. Like I said, our certifications with COVID, it really showed us that we had been investing our time in things that were relevant. Like we did this call center customer service certification for about 8 years. We're through Work One as a certified training facility with our certifications. So we had a lot of people that was working in the warehouse, and warehouses were shut down. And it was just the companies that had the remote work or hybrid work, business model that was able to thrive outside of the hospitals and the essential workers, you know what I mean? But other than that, that was pretty instrumental in letting us know that we were like where we needed to be. So
Yeah.
um it doesn't matter. I've had being in the workforce development kind of realm, we get all the information from the UAWs. It's not all entry level positions, it's high paying opportunities as well.
Hmm.
There's companies that don't meet their affirmative action that we get, constant uh, lists that, for candidates to provide them. So yeah, it's a work in progress, and anyone can contact us if they're looking for employment or um, to kind of credential build in any kind of way. We're here for that.
Um, this is kind of a hard pivot, but do you play a musical instrument yourself?
Oh, would you believe I played the clarinet for a long time in elementary school
Okay.
years
Yeah.
and don't remember how. Like I don't. I think
Oh,
I was. We have a music media technology class ourselves. We haven't had it since before COVID,
okay.
but where we was teaching kids how to play instruments. So I'm like, I didn't remember how to play a note,
Well,
but I
man.
used to play the clarinet. I used to play the clarinet.
That's wonderful. I growing up on the north side, going to Carmel, there was no shortage of clubs or things to keep kids occupied, and it made it so you didn't even think about making the bad decisions because there were too many other opportunities for folks to do. I mean, how important is it for you to maybe provide resources of here's a sport you can play, here's an instrument you can learn, as opposed to making the bad decisions, you know?
So, again, even you said we had a lot of different programs, but it sits on the same principles, right?
Yeah.
Regardless if I'm speaking to an adult or doing a youth program, we're still about credential building. So in the summertime, we have, our paid internship opportunity. They're learning office skills, they're learning
Right.
um, you know, ways to build themselves up in the workforce. And so it's the same principles, personal and career path development. Even there, I do try to make it fun. We have a really cool youth conference where we do, extensive workshops and things like that. It's pretty cool. We had it at Martin University. It's like the eighth year we've collaborated with Girls Who Brunch Tour, and
Okay.
the founder is a good friend of mine. So yeah, it's still the same principles. We have a theory that's called from elementary to IT, because I had a CompTIA certification for adults. It's quick turnaround. It's just a lot, I think, for adults. But the goal is to kind of groom them in IT, and they won't
Oh,
feel like it's a lot to take on. So that's the principle with those type of things. So we try to expose them to you know technology, gaming, robotics, especially girls, because it's such a glass ceiling and a small
yes.
um, demographic of women that's in the tech field. It's growing, but it's still not where it should be from a percentage standpoint, in my opinion. So I work in those spaces, I guess.
Um, well, it's certainly a time of change where a bunch of things are changing, and being an election year, I've advocated for different things in politics. Are you doing anything to make sure folks are registered to vote and are doing everything they can being an election year? I'm just asking.
100%. We're just on a call today, and every election year and leading up to it, there's the felon population who doesn't know that they have the right to vote. Doesn't matter if you're on probation, you're on home detention, you're on parole. You can be inside the jail now awaiting your trial. And, I've worked extensively with some of my legislator friends to map out a process where we can get voters registration in the jails here in Indy, and make sure that the mail-in ballots and things are being saturated, and that is being offered to this demographic because their vote counts as well. So yes,
Hmm.
I am definitely advocating for voters' right, youth 18 and older. We do a lot of voters registration drives, things like that. Um, we were just on a call today. Funny you should ask.
Okay,
So,
good.
so
Yeah, well,
it's about that space, because that was a stigma, right? Who would have thought that felons can vote? They
right.
never, and it depends on the state. But here in Indiana, we do have that privilege, and their vote does count,
Okay.
and I do advocate for it 100%.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty stark choice that we're coming up to, especially the presidential. So I don't know. We need every vote that we can get. Make your choice while you still got one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know.
totally agree. Like I said, it's funny you should ask. I have the flyer right on my desk. If I say something, I 100% am about that thing. So
Right.
yeah, I've did a lot of work with advocating for felon right to vote and just that process in general. Like,
One other
what
thing I
does
want
that look
to
like?
one thing I want to interject is how important local elections are too. Like, I mean, as much as we want organizations like yours to be there to provide resources, I wish that on a federal level we had laws in place that it wouldn't even be a question of resources necessarily. It would be, this is what people need in order to succeed. you know.
Local election by light years, uh, as far as if you ask me if it's more important than the presidential election, because those dollars, those uh, Congressman Carson, he just saturated 10 million, was it, in program dollars here, just here recently. Like, he was instrumental in the Market Street renovation project, gave them some money, gave a lot of organizations. I think Boys and Girls Club got funded. So yeah, these local legislators, and is a direct connect to those federal dollars on Capitol Hill. So yeah, we need to get out and vote. The local elections are
Critical.
extremely important.
um, Another hard pivot here. If we went to go do karaoke, what song you picking?
I'm gonna pick Call Tyrone by Erica Badu, because I'm not a singer, but I can sing, talk. I can
Okay.
talk, sing. And so a lot of her songs are not about like your vocals as much as just having a smooth kind of swag about, you know, uh presenting the lyrics. And I would do Call Tyrone by Erica Badu. I probably would do I'm Bad by um oh my god, it's a blank. And
Michael
he's like
Jackson?
one of my,
No.
no, the rapper. LL Cool J.
Ah, okay, there we
I
go.
definitely do some rap like Salt and Pepper. Some of the old school stuff I would hit them with, but I could do a lot of Erica's pieces.
I believe in your range. I believe in it. For me, it would be Crossfire by Stevie Ray Vaughan, Pride and Joy by SRV. I would do that. When Doves Cry by Prince. That would be me too.
Of
So
course.
you can do different variations there. When you're not working, when you don't have the stress of what you handle day to day with your organization, what TV shows are you watching?
Oh my goodness. I am avid RuPaul Drag Race.
Oh, okay.
I just really like the creative expression that is offered with that program. And I'll just watch it, like, you know what I mean? And I have like my favorites I root for, but and I do like a lot of court TV, like a lot of those things too. But you
Okay.
know, fun TV or serious TV for me is um two different realms. So I stay on like, you know, your court TV. I'm looking at 48 hours and I mean the first 48 and
Oh,
Criminal
okay.
Minds and
You're
I
watching
don't know
you're
why.
watching you're watching serial killer documentaries in your spare time.
I really do because I'm like I'm a people like I'm a people watcher. Like I just um it's the minor psychology in me that just tend to want to dissect why people think like they do and just
Yeah.
move like they move, and we're all human, right? We have reasons why we move the way we do, and so I just be wanting to think, I just be wanting to kind of dissect, if you will,
Right.
along with the documentary of how and why this person got in this space. So yeah, I do. I watch.
What about reality television? Kardashians, Love is Blind, all that crap.
I'm a love and hip hop fan, I guess.
Uh,
I like Basketball Wives, I like
okay.
um I used to like Mob Wives. I don't think they come on any longer,
Yeah.
but a
Well,
lot of those.
I said this a couple clips ago. I mean, this is pretty recent, but like Rock of Love, Flavor of Love, those are two fabulous shows on VH1. Like if you need crappy TV to just binge on, oh my god, awesome, awesome
uh,
stuff.
Flavor of Love was like I couldn't understand, like, you know, I guess, we want to be famous and be next to famous people and things like that. But
Mm.
there's a lot of stars that New York and
Mm-hmm.
Bambi and um,
Hoops dated Shaq, the one who won.
Hoops.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He has some rock stars that were
So
like vying for him. I just, you know,
yeah.
it's more than just looks and things like that. He was iconic, from a perspective of hip hop and being a staple in that whole movement. So he was a giant in his own right. It was more than just that big clock, I think. But
Well, and
interesting.
he had different clocks too. I was impressed. Like he's got different ones for one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for each day of the week. Um, let's see. Are you a Swifty? You listen to Taylor Swift very much?
Of course.
Okay.
Doesn't listen to tape.
I mean,
Yes.
I'll say I'm not a Swifty by trade. Like I'm not anti Taylor, but I'm not a Swifty, by choice.
How can you not be when you can sell out
She's
arenas multiple times, and like she's such a phenomenal just artist, her stage presence, just the whole bit, I think, is,
what
I
about
mean, her, Miley Cyrus and Pink are like the girls, if I'm gonna like cross over into cultures. So
word?
I've always liked Miley Cyrus too, like,
Okay. What and
yeah.
this is timely in 2024. What about Beyonce's country album? Have you delved into that fully yet?
Of course.
Tell me what you think. Let's go. Let's get your
I
opinion.
love it. I love it to pieces. Like seriously. She's such a vocalist. So her vocals on country music is phenomenal, I think. And then it kind of mixes a little. She's urban to the core. So, I mean, you can't deny certain elements within your creative nature, if you will. So, I think it's a unique blend. And I think she stayed true to what it was about and tried to make sure that we all could enjoy that album.
Mhm.
16 carriages, it could be R&B-ish to me, but the context of the words and things like that is so country.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I like it. What
yeah.
do you think?
I love it. No, I dig it. Like without people of color, we wouldn't have blues music. You know, for the people that are upset about her singing country, like it's fine. It's just fine. Jolene, it's been on repeat for me. That track
Oh, yeah,
particularly. So
she
you
got
know
the blessings from the queen herself.
exactly.
So, if Dolly can bless her with the okay to do her redo her song, then we all should appreciate the effort. So I'm
And
happy for her.
isn't Dolly Miley's godmother too?
I
That's
didn't know. I don't
that's the
know.
integration right there. I was gonna say that's the relation right there.
You
But
just hit me to something. I can see that.
yeah.
Yeah, Billy Ray is. I can see that for sure. Yeah.
Um, Going back to your work that you do, I'm just asking because we're pivotal time of year, summer coming up. What do you need? What resources could you use?
So we have acquired uh, some transition housing space. I've been trying to relaunch the Indiana Safe House program. Prior to COVID, the deal that I had, the investor did sell the building. Understandably, like COVID was such a tough time for the real estate market. Who could really argue? But I did finally. It's been
All right.
it's been a long time coming, but I do have the Indiana Safe House set to take in its first set of residents June 1st. So, anything that is the first location is a mother baby unit. So, we're going to be able to take in 8 moms with 8 toddlers up to 2 in this space. And then the second one will open shortly, where we're taking both male and female 18 to 24 who have aged out of foster care. So we're needing everything for the space, from beds to linen to everything. So I'm working those things out now and gonna do a massive call to action, and also a um do a media run just to
Mhm.
see what community support can be there. But we're open to any of that type of support. Your regular donations, of course, is you can't go wrong with that. So monetary contributions are a blessing in the space. So
Okay.
pretty much any and all. We want it new and gently used. I pride myself on that. Like, don't give people stuff. Like, there's a art to giving, right?
Sure.
You want to give
Yeah.
stuff that's, usable, that can be appreciated. So you don't want to give people stuff that you're giving away because you didn't even want it. You know what I mean? You definitely want to be mindful to the art of giving.
Right.
And so, not to turn anybody off, or if that's your thing. But usually, you do want your giving not to be in vain. So we want good, wholesome giving, if at all possible.
No, that's a good rule
There,
of thumb across the board, regardless of
yeah.
the organization. Like let it be good, and let it be with a good thought. Um, let's see. Best piece of advice you've ever received to wrap up here.
The best piece of advice
Yes, ma'am.
is just never to compare yourself to other people, right?
Mm.
And that is the biggest mistake a lot of people do, is look at what somebody else does, and if they're not meeting or exceeding, they feel like they haven't accomplished anything. So for me, the best advice is just to do you 100% to the best of your ability. Um, and let that be it, and
All
let
right.
that be your contribution to the space. So that is the absolute best advice that I got at such a young age. So I've lived by that motto. I just don't look at what other people do. It's just like I might, look at it to admire it for them, but it isn't to size myself up to it in any way, or to dictate if I'm, doing well by gauging what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That is a major hindrance
Hmm.
to one's ability to execute what they're supposed to do, like passionately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Purposefully, right? And everybody's purpose walk is their own. So that is one of the best pieces of advice, I guess, that I've ever gotten.
All right.
And just to never give up. Like, failure is not really failure. Failure is like the first crack at the ball, right?
Mm.
In baseball, you have like two more tries. So you just want to
Hmm.
give your best effort every time. So keep going.
You learn from effort, eh, and from mistakes. As for one more time for the people, how can they connect to your organization and follow you as well?
So I'm on all the social media platforms. I feel like I have a better presence on Facebook. I was a late bloomer, right? I just got on social media like 8 years ago. Like one of my board members was like, "You're the face of the organization. I need to like see and hear from you how cool you are." And so I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I'll do it." But I'm 8 years on social media. But you can find me, Redemption Outreach Services Inc. or Rossi Indy on social media platforms. Demetrice Bruno is my personal page. My
All right.
website is easily found. Just Google my name. Google the organization's name. We're easily trackable.
All right. Demetrius, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's been a joy to document your story and talk about what you do. We need more folks like you to make this place better. So, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I remember meeting you and say he's a cute, cool guy. Mom's
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you. I try.
But
I try.
yeah.
A
Yeah, so,
connection through.
HB is my mentor, and just,
Yeah.
like, I just love him so much, so if you hang out with him, you gotta be okay with me, so
The man, the myth, the legend, Jumbo Love, for an episode that folks can listen back to in the archives. For this episode and all others, folks, make your way over to linktree.com/JBK on air. Follow me at JBK on air on all social media platforms. And if you want to donate to my program, hit the link in the description. Until next time, have a great day and a better tomorrow.